Have you ever stood in the kitchen, holding a jar that just won't open, and thought to yourself, is this what getting older feels like? That moment when something that used to be so simple now feels like climbing a mountain. It can hit you like a quiet wave. And it's not always about the jar, is it? It's about the feeling underneath, the thought that maybe, just maybe, life is slipping into a stage where you'll need more help than you want to ask for. If you've ever had that moment, you're not alone. And more importantly, you are not powerless. There's something beautiful about reaching this stage of life. You've earned your wisdom. You've weathered storms. You've raised families, worked hard, maybe even retired. But what no one tells you is that after 65, the one thing most of us still fiercely hold on to isn't wealth or even perfect health, it's independence. That ability to wake up in the morning, stretch your legs, pour your own coffee, and know you're still living your life, by your rules. And that's something worth protecting. Today, I want to talk with you, not lecture, not teach, just talk about how to hold on to that independence. Even if you live alone. Even if your joints ache a little more than they used to. Even if you sometimes feel invisible in a world that moves too fast. There are quiet, powerful ways to stay strong, stay free, and stay in charge of your own story. Let's start with something small but mighty, trusting your routines. You see, one of the biggest threats to independence isn't some major injury or illness, it's the slow drift into a life that feels scattered, unanchored. And routines are like handrails for the mind and body. A solid morning ritual, a mid-afternoon movement break, a simple evening wind down, they tell your body, I'm still in charge here. They keep your energy flowing and your mind grounded. It can be as easy as setting your alarm for the same time each day, even if you're retired. Making your bed. Sitting by the window with a cup of tea, watching the light change outside. These tiny habits create rhythm, and rhythm creates resilience. The more consistent your routines, the easier it becomes to notice when something's off. You catch signs of fatigue early. You spot that strange ache before it becomes a problem. You become the steady captain of your own ship, instead of drifting with the tide. And within those routines, let's not forget one of the most underestimated sources of strength, movement. Now I know your knees might not be what they used to be, and maybe you've already had that conversation with your doctor about not overdoing it. But staying active doesn't have to mean power walking around the block or lifting heavy weights. It means moving with purpose. Start with what you can do. Maybe it's stretching your arms above your head each morning. Maybe it's standing up from a chair 10 times in a row, slowly, with control. Maybe it's walking a few extra steps around your home while you wait for the kettle to boil. Movement doesn't have to be grand, it just needs to be regular. When you keep your body in motion, even gently, you send a message to every part of your system, we are still living. Not surviving. Living. Your balance improves, your heart stays strong, your muscles stay awake, and most of all, you preserve that beautiful thing called autonomy. The ability to do things yourself, on your terms. Now let's talk about something that sneaks up on many people without warning, your environment. The truth is, the layout of your home can quietly rob you of independence or quietly protect it. You might be used to your space the way it's always been, but it's worth taking a second look. That rug in the hallway that curls up at the corner? It's not just a rug. It could be a future fall. That dim lighting near the bathroom? It's not just cozy, it could lead to a misstep in the dark. Creating a safe, comfortable environment isn't about giving up, it's about setting yourself up. Move things within easy reach. Install a grab bar in the shower, even if you feel steady now. Add brighter lights where shadows fall. These small changes don't make you weak, they make you wise. They're not reminders of limitations. They're reminders that you care enough about your future to take care of your present. And you know what's funny? When you make these adjustments, when your home becomes a partner in your independence instead of a silent hazard, something shifts in you. You breathe easier. You feel more confident moving through your day. It's like the house is saying, I've got you. But let's not stop there. Because staying independent isn't just about the body or the home, it's also about keeping your mind sharp and your heart connected. It's easy, especially when living alone, to fall into quiet routines that keep us safe but also a little isolated. And that silence, while peaceful at first, can slowly begin to dull the edges of joy. So, even if you love your solitude, give yourself a reason to connect. Call someone just to say hi. Smile at the neighbor when you check the mail. Join a class, online or in person, not because you need to learn something new, but because showing up makes you feel part of something. Independence isn't the absence of people, it's the ability to choose how and when you engage with the world around you. And every moment you spend choosing connection, you're reminding yourself that you're still living, not just existing. When you start aligning your routines, your movement, your space, and your connections, independence stops feeling like something you might lose. It starts feeling like something you're building, day by day, with steady hands and a strong heart. And that brings us to something many of us don't often think about, but it's so deeply tied to staying in control of our lives. And when your space feels like it's working with you instead of against you, life becomes a whole lot easier. But independence isn't just about setting up your home right, it's also deeply connected to how you manage your body. That brings us to something just as important, maybe even more so. Let's talk about keeping your body moving. You don't have to run marathons or lift heavy weights at the gym to stay strong. That's a myth that scared off more people than I can count. What your body really needs is consistent, gentle movement, things that suit your energy level and fit into your daily life naturally. Think about how much difference it makes when you can bend down to pick up something from the floor without wincing, or stand up from your favorite chair without struggling. That's not just convenience. That's freedom. The beauty of this is, you can start with just 5 or 10 minutes a day. A short morning stretch before you brush your teeth. A walk to the mailbox and back. Simple leg lifts while watching your favorite show. Every little movement tells your body, hey, I still need you to work with me. And your body listens. If you've ever felt stiff when you wake up, or like you're dragging your feet through the day, that's your body calling out for more motion. The less we move, the more we lose. Muscles begin to weaken, joints tighten, and before long, things that used to be second nature feel like a chore. But here's the good news, the opposite is also true. Start moving, even just a bit more, and your body responds with surprising generosity. You feel steadier. Your balance improves. Your mood lifts. And yes, you start to feel more like you again. There's a quiet power in moving with intention. And don't worry if some days feel slower than others. What matters is that you keep showing up for yourself. One step at a time, literally. Because every step you take is a step toward staying independent longer. Now, staying physically active is vital, but so is keeping your mind sharp and your days filled with meaning. This is something not enough people talk about when it comes to growing older and living alone. Let's face it, no matter how strong your body is, if your days feel empty, it can wear on your spirit. And independence isn't just about doing things by yourself, it's also about wanting to. One of the most powerful things you can do to stay mentally strong is to stay curious. And no, that doesn't mean going back to school or reading textbooks unless you want to. Staying curious can be as simple as learning to cook a new dish, picking up a puzzle, trying a new route on your walk, or learning how to use a new app on your phone. Curiosity keeps your brain engaged and your heart connected to the world around you. It reminds you that no matter your age, you're still growing, still learning, still alive. When you live alone, it's easy to fall into routines that don't challenge you. Wake up, have coffee, sit in the same chair, watch the same show, eat the same lunch. There's comfort in familiarity, yes, but there's also a hidden risk. The brain loves novelty. It thrives on stimulation. Even something as small as rearranging a drawer or planting a new flower in the garden can fire up parts of your mind that haven't lit up in a while. If you've ever felt like your memory's getting foggier or you're forgetting names more often, don't panic. That doesn't mean you're slipping. It just means your brain needs a little more play. And you can give it that through small changes. Try writing in a journal for 5 minutes a day. Read out loud. Challenge yourself to memorize a short poem, or better yet, tell a story from your childhood to someone who hasn't heard it. Memory loves movement, too. The more you use it, the more it sticks around. And speaking of stories, sharing yours matters. Whether it's a grandchild asking questions, a neighbor chatting over the fence, or even a conversation you have with yourself while looking at old photographs, those stories help keep you grounded. They remind you of where you've been, what you've overcome, and what truly matters. You're not just a person living alone. You're a whole universe of memories, lessons, and wisdom. Let those stories breathe. Another part of keeping your mind sharp, and something many people don't talk about, is staying emotionally connected. That doesn't always mean having constant visitors or a packed social calendar. For many, that's not even appealing. But connection can be quiet. A friendly phone call once a week. Waving to your neighbor each morning. Talking to the clerk at the store and using their name. Even writing letters, yes, old-fashioned letters, can offer a sense of connection that keeps your emotional well-being strong. Because here's the truth, independence doesn't mean isolation. The most resilient, independent older adults I know are the ones who've learned to balance self-reliance with just enough connection to feel seen and heard. You don't have to prove you can do everything alone. You just need to know you can, and choose what to handle on your own and what to welcome help with. That choice is where your real power lies. And when you combine physical movement, mental stimulation, and emotional connection, even in the smallest doses, you create a foundation that supports your freedom. You create a daily rhythm that reinforces who you are and reminds you what's still possible. Because the truth is, your independence isn't just about your body or your home. It's about how you show up for yourself each day. It's about honoring your needs, respecting your limits, and celebrating your strengths, even if the world around you is quiet. So, take a breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Let yourself feel proud of how far you've come, and curious about what's still ahead. Let's keep going. So now that we've talked about keeping your body moving, keeping your mind sharp, and staying emotionally connected, let's step into something that often goes overlooked, but plays a critical role in long-term independence. That's the importance of routines with purpose. You see, after 65, especially when you live alone, the days can sometimes stretch out longer than expected. Without the structure of a job, kids to care for, or external obligations, time becomes something you have to shape on your own. That can feel like freedom, but it can also feel overwhelming, or even empty, if not used intentionally. That's why purposeful routines are so powerful. They give your day meaning without rushing you. They anchor you in something solid. A morning routine can be as simple as making your bed, opening the curtains to let in the light, stretching your arms toward the sky, and saying out loud something you're grateful for. That tiny moment tells your brain, the day has begun, and I am here. Midday, maybe you prepare a healthy lunch, nothing fancy, just something made with care. Or you sit by the window with a cup of tea and read a chapter from a book that stirs your spirit. Evening comes, and maybe that's your time to play your favorite music, reflect on what went well, or do a little crossword puzzle. The key here isn't about how productive you are. It's about how intentional you are. A routine that fits your rhythm gives you something to look forward to, something you can rely on when the world outside feels uncertain. It's like building small islands of comfort throughout your day. And here's a little secret, when your days are built on these simple, grounding habits, you naturally avoid the biggest enemy of independence, neglect. Neglect is sneaky. It shows up when you start skipping meals or brushing off small aches. When you say, I'll clean that later, and later becomes weeks. It begins when the TV stays on longer than it should and the phone remains silent because you haven't reached out. It's not laziness, it's fatigue of the spirit. Purposeful routines protect you from that quiet unraveling. They give you reasons to get up, get dressed, move, think, smile, and rest. They gently remind you, I matter, and my day matters. And it's in those routines that you start to notice little victories. You realize you're stronger than you thought. You're steadier. Your thoughts are clearer. You don't need to rely on anyone else just to get through the day. That's independence. That's freedom. But even with all this, strong routines, movement, mental clarity, there's one final secret that ties it all together. And it might be the most powerful one of all. It's learning how to ask for help before things fall apart. That may sound strange in a conversation about independence. But real independence isn't about doing everything by yourself. It's about knowing when and how to ask for support without losing yourself in the process. Let me tell you something I've seen again and again. The strongest, most self-reliant older adults are not the ones who refuse help. They are the ones who choose help wisely. They know that asking someone to fix a light bulb they can no longer reach doesn't make them weak. That calling a neighbor when they don't feel well isn't burdening someone, it's being responsible. That letting a loved one bring groceries once in a while is not an admission of failure, it's a way to stay nourished and continue living on their own, in their own home, with dignity. Pride is a beautiful thing. It's what gets us through hard times. But unchecked, pride can become isolation. And isolation, over time, chips away at independence far faster than age ever could. So ask yourself, who are the people in your life that you trust? Is it a neighbor, a cousin, a friend from church, or even someone from a local senior center? You don't need to build a wide network. One or two reliable people can make all the difference. And remember, this isn't just about help in times of emergency. This is about connection. You can ask someone to take a walk with you once a week. Invite someone over for tea. Or if that's not possible, set a time to talk on the phone every Sunday. That little touch point helps you feel supported without ever giving up your autonomy. The truth is, no one gets through life alone. Not fully. And living alone doesn't mean you must feel alone. There is strength in accepting kindness. There is wisdom in knowing your limits and preparing for them before they become problems. And there is deep, lasting independence in building a life that balances self-care with connection. So take a moment now. Breathe. Think about the things you can still do, and celebrate them. Think about the things you may need a little help with, and make peace with that. Because you, just as you are capable, resilient, whole. Independence is not just the absence of help. It's the presence of confidence. The quiet assurance that you are in charge of your life, that you are prepared, and that you are still moving forward with grace. You know, the beautiful thing about life after 65 is that you begin to see things more clearly. You've walked through seasons of joy and seasons of hardship. You've raised families, built careers, taken care of others, often putting yourself last. And now, in this stage of life, you finally get a chance to shift the focus back to you. Not in a selfish way. In a wise way. In a necessary way. You've earned the right to live your life with dignity and independence. Not just getting by, but thriving. And it doesn't take huge changes to make that happen. What it takes is intention, a bit of consistency, and a willingness to take care of yourself like you once cared for so many others. Let's pause for a moment and gently go back through what we've talked about together. It begins with your body, keeping it moving in ways that work for you. Maybe it's a short walk each morning, maybe it's stretching while the kettle boils. You don't have to run marathons. You just need to move with kindness. Your joints, your heart, your balance, they all thank you for it. Then there's your mind, keeping it alive and curious. Not through pressure or perfection, but through gentle stimulation. Puzzles, books, conversations, even looking up something new each day. Your brain is like a garden. Water it, and it continues to bloom. We spoke about connection, about not shutting out the world, even when it feels quieter these days. One or two real connections can keep loneliness from creeping in. You don't need a crowd. You need realness. And that realness often comes in small, humble forms: a cup of tea shared, a letter written, a memory recalled with someone who knows your story. Then, there's the strength of routines. Not rigid schedules, but comforting rhythms that guide you from one moment to the next. Routines that remind you that today matters, that you matter. They're not chores, they're acts of self-respect. And finally, the wisdom to ask for help when needed. Not as a sign of weakness, but as a sign of strength and preparation. To understand that real independence doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means knowing how to stay standing, even if you need a hand now and then. All of these, your movement, your mind, your heart, your habits, and your support system, work together like quiet threads weaving a strong, steady life. A life that you control. A life that feels like yours, even as the years go on. You see, independence after 65 isn't about proving something to others. It's about proving something to yourself, that you can still shape your days. That you are still the author of your story. That age has brought you not just wrinkles and slower steps, but perspective, patience, and a quiet kind of power that no one can take from you. So if you've been feeling uncertain lately, if you've had moments where the silence of the house feels too loud, or the stairs feel too steep, or the days feel too long, I want you to hear this, and hear it well. You are not alone. There are thousands, millions, of people walking this same road. People who are also learning to adjust, to adapt, to find strength in new ways. And you are one of them. Every step you take to care for yourself, every time you choose to move, to think, to connect, to build a rhythm, to ask for help, you are declaring, I still choose my life. I still choose to live. And that choice? That's where your power lives. So here's what I invite you to do. Not tomorrow. Not next week. But today. Start with something small. Open the window and take a deep breath of morning air. Call someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Stretch your arms overhead and feel your spine lengthen. Drink a full glass of water and remind yourself that you're caring for the body that's carried you all these years. Then take a moment to thank yourself. Really. Because you're here, watching this, seeking ways to stay strong, to stay well, to stay you. That alone says so much about your spirit. You've got this. Not because it's easy, but because you are capable. You are resourceful. And most of all, you are worthy of a life that feels good to wake up to. Before we go, I'd love to hear from you. What small things help you feel independent? What's one routine you cherish? Or what's one challenge you're working through? Share it in the comments. You never know who might read your words and feel encouraged, feel seen, feel less alone. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and click that like button. And if you want more conversations like this, gentle, honest, and real, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're building a space where growing older is not something to fear, but something to embrace. Here's to living your best life at any age. Here's to independence, to wisdom, and to finding joy in the little things. You're not fading, you're still shining, in your own steady way. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.